Welcome back, guys. So before we get into the core topic of today's video, I just want to say that one of the best things about having a YouTube channel is if I'm going through a situation or if I've got something on my mind, there's a platform, a group of like-minded people there ready to share your experiences with. And although we're still a small channel, I think one of our biggest strengths is having that active community. There's always comments to read down below, which is great. Although this video is not directly about camping or bushcraft, I feel like it still definitely crosses over, so stick around because I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on today's video. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. Now let's start from the beginning. What is a prepper? So if you go on Google and ask, their definition is a person who believes that a catastrophic disaster or emergency is likely to occur in the future and makes active preparations for it, like stockpiling food, ammunition and other supplies. So why am I talking about this today instead of going off wandering about in the woods doing a wild camp? Well, I watched a movie 2 days ago called Threads. It's from 1984 and it's a documentary style drama based in Sheffield in the UK about a nuclear war with the Soviet Union and the West, which is a little close to home, I think it's fair to say, with the current situations that are going on. Don't worry, I'm not going to do a full movie review, but if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go and watch it. Although I'll warn you now, it's one of those movies that really does scar your brain. You'll not be able to stop thinking about it afterwards. It's informative but terrifying at the same time, so yeah, I highly recommend it, but you've also been warned. Anyways, so yesterday, the day after watching this movie, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It really did alter my mindset to some extent. I've watched a few prepping videos on YouTube before. I've got a couple of mates who are into it. I've had somewhat of a curiosity about it, let's say, but this movie really did tip it over the edge. It was the icing on the cake for me. So I went out and I bought some tin food, bottled water. I've stocked up on my gas and alcohol stove, the fuel for it, and I've also taken some physical cash out. Now in the movie, when things started heating up and getting bad, one of the first things they done was limit the transactions from bank accounts. So although people had money in their banks, one of the first things to go was being able to access that money. So having that extra cash around your house can hurt. And like everything I mentioned, the tin food and the bottled water, they're going to get used, so nothing at the end of the day is going to go to waste. Now before you think I've gone mad, honestly I haven't. I'm probably just catching up with the average household. My mindset before all of this was, at the end of the day, there's a shop down the road. When I want to get me tea or dinner, I just pop down there, get what I want for the night, and that's me done. I'd never stock up me cupboards or me fridge. The way I seen it, that shop was, in my eyes, like it's a big stock room. Nothing would ever go out of date, at least for me, the customer. So I had no real incentive to stock up and potentially have things put away at the back of my cupboard going out of date. Times are obviously changing. You can't turn on the TV without noticing it. For the last few years, we've had these little nudges from massive forest fires, pandemics, supply chain issues, and of course this war that's going on right now. And watching this movie was just the icing on the cake. It was the breaking point for me to actually make some changes and start doing some basic prepping. The reason for making this video and sharing these thoughts with you guys is this is a complete change of character for me. I'm not usually this guy who gets caught up in these situations that are just well out of my control. I usually keep myself to myself. I mean, I'm happy just sitting in the woods by myself, swinging on my hammock. With that being said, I really do stand by the thought process of adapting and overcoming situations. And if these worldwide situations are the cards that we're being dealt right now, then yeah, I like to think that I am going to make certain changes in my life and not just sit back like a zombie and do absolutely nothing at all. What I'm doing with stockpiling food and water might sound completely ridiculous or complete overkill, or even on the other scale, if things get really bad, it might just be completely pointless anyways. So, am I a prepper now? I don't think so. Or at least, I don't feel like one anyways. The way things have been escalating for the past few years, I really do think it's common sense to have some preparations for these different types of disasters. And not just a nuclear war scenario like in this movie. The topic of this video revolves around all these disaster situations. And you know what, if you asked me a few years ago about preppers, my response probably would have been, is they're just little dafties. I mean, the only information I had to go off was probably some random BBC documentary where they purposely portray preppers as over the top, extreme, and just a bit daft overall. But if you fast forward to the present day, this stuff is really starting to get real. Is it just me? Am I losing my mind? Everything is seeming a little over dramatic. It's like a domino effect. One world problem after another, and how many of those dominoes need to fall before there's an irreversible, life-changing situation that's going to directly affect me and you? And in a way, I guess you can already say it's happening right now with the gas prices, energy crisis, and even food prices are going up now. I know I haven't gone mad because this is coming from both sides of the media. You've got the big mainstream media and you've got the smaller independent ones. They all seem to be talking about it right now, which I don't think happens too often, where they both seem to align with each other, at least on the subjects of things escalating and progressively getting worse. I tend to stay out of politics, but I mention it specifically because news, politics, it's all the same thing. The way I see it is there's so much information out there, information overload, that you never really know who's right and who's wrong. So me personally, I usually just avoid it altogether. But you can't help but notice, like I said, they all seem to be matching up with each other's information about things gradually getting worse. Anyways, without sounding like a complete nut, we as a camping and bushcraft channel, whether you've got years of experience or you're just getting into it, we all in some way have a survivalist mentality. We're constantly learning, adapting, buying this gear so we can go out and live away from all those home comforts. I don't really know how to explain it too well, but there is something there inside of us that in some way connects us to that prepper mentality. And although all this camping, bushcrafting, for most of us out here, it is just a hobby, but with that being said, you can't go out into the woods without learning some basic survival skills or knowledge. So that's why I want to hear your thoughts. Although most of us probably don't class ourselves as preppers, we are still somewhat prepared. We've got the knowledge, the gear, the skill to go out and survive without those home luxuries to some extent, which is definitely a great starting point. Thinking about it, if you combine your camping gear and knowledge with a few weeks worth of food and water, that probably puts you in a better position than 99% of people out there when it comes to a disaster situation. So are you a prepper? Have I gone mad? Is it all just ridiculous? If things do continue to escalate and get worse, is it all just pointless anyways? I mean, I don't really like that thought process, but that might be what people think. Like I said, this has been on my mind recently for the last couple of days, so I'm really interested to hear your thoughts and opinions on this topic. With us not being a proper prepper channel, I think that gives us a great opportunity to hear both sides of the argument, maybe put some perspective on things and, I don't know, find some balance to the whole situation. Please comment below, let me know your thoughts, and if you're making any preps, then let me know what they are too. I'd love to hear them. So thank you for watching, everyone. Peace.